This is going to be a fun video. I have a dirt road on my property, and I actually am going to be using my combat engineer training to reinforce this road, fix this road, and then mark the lanes for this road. This is like combat engineer 101. Now, in all honesty, what I really need to do is make sure that if people are going to be coming on my property, we're going to be hosting a party, is that they can use this road safely. And so I figured this would be a fun opportunity just to make a goofy video and then work on this road. We have a bunch of divots in the road, and if I have people coming over on my property, I want to make sure everyone's going to be safe. So let's go ahead and do the proper steps of reinforcing a road and fixing a road. Now, the first step to any sort of engineer project is the proper reconnaissance. Here's my dirt road. It actually goes up quite a long ways, and we have a really big cut or indent on the left side of the road, and I don't want people's cars getting destroyed in here. On this right side, I already have a marker here so people don't fall into this indentation. But nonetheless, what we're pretty much dealing with right here, you have these big indents that just come down. You can kind of see over here. So I want to get that filled in so when people drive onto my dirt road and they're going to be parked up all along the side here, I don't want them destroying their cars. Nonetheless, as we continue up again, we have a really big cut up here. There's a big indent. It evens off over here. So it looks like I need to find a way to fill this all in, or at least make it temporary. I want it to be a good fix. Something else you need to consider is that we need to mark these lanes. I don't want people veering off into the left, because at nighttime it gets rather dark. So again, this is actually Combat Engineer 101. You're doing your reconnaissance, you're doing your walkthrough, and you're realizing exactly what you have to do. What tools do you need? Where do I need to mark a lane? Right here is my little range that I created. So I don't want cars driving off in here and then thinking that this is a parking spot. So I got to put a marker over here to let people know, don't drive in here. This is a shooting range. Nonetheless, we have quite a lot of room to work with here. This is all nice and secure, but this side over here is going to be giving us a problem. So I need to go figure out what material I'm going to use and what tools I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and do that. Another big issue is going to be right here, actually at the end of the dirt trail, where then you can come up and circle out and go back on the road, is you have a massive indentation here that's covered up by the grass. So I need to figure out how I'm going to fill that. Now, as far as material, we actually have a good amount of material right here. Here are just a bunch of little pebbles. I need to make sure I'm conservative with it because I don't know how much I'm going to be able to fill everything in here. I might need to mix some of this with some dirt. I'm going to figure that part out, but nonetheless, here's going to be another challenge. You can see quite clearly it goes from dirt road and then boom, it gets a little dicey over here. So I need to make sure people are aware that like that's very dangerous for a vehicle. I don't want people to destroy their vehicles. So here we go, Combat Engineer 101, reconnaissance, marking. We have our materials, so let's go get our tools. Okay, so what I think I need is going to be this little loader right here, and then that attaches to the lawnmower because I'm not about to be carrying all that stuff, son. As a combat engineer, you use what you got. So that means we also have a shovel. We're not going to be using my scooter. That's for tactical scooter operations only. And then, of course, we're going to use this rake. Now, as far as marking materials, I think around here somewhere we have actual reflectors where I can place along the road or along points where I think people need to be cautious. So I'll figure that out when I get to marking. Marking is always the last procedure for a combat engineer. So for any of you who want to be a combat engineer, realize this is actually part of your job. You probably will be doing operations like this that seem kind of lame, but nonetheless, it's actually really important to be able to know how to fortify a road, reinforce a road, mark the road, things like that. We're not always destroying things here. Another really basic rule of thumb is make sure this thing has some gas in it. I can't tell you the amount of times we went out to do some training and somebody actually forgot to fill up the gas tank, and then we were stranded, and then we had to work on the weekend, and then Carl was like, I filled it up, I swear. So make sure you always fill up your gas tank. We're good to go for this operation. I think we'll be okay. All right, let's go ahead and get some of these little rocks and pebbles up in here, fill it up in there, and then we're going to go ahead and drive at the bottom of the dirt road and try to reinforce the little divots, and we'll work our way up and just sort of clean everything up, patch everything up, and hopefully make this a little more presentable and safe for the guests who will be coming over for our little party. All right, as far as this little like indent in here all the way down, I definitely am gonna have to fill in this with this. Now, when I look up here, I really could just take the shovel and the rake and just try to even it out and make it a little less stressful for the people who are driving up here. You can kind of see right there, I'm gonna have to even that part out. And we got a couple little things, but again, most of the damage is down here and all the way up there. And this is the part of being a combat engineer, is reconnaissance, and then realizing, you know, when you come one way you might miss something, but when you come down the other way you might realize it's a little more nasty over here than up there. So let's go ahead and fix this. All right, so we're getting some progress. You can see it's actually evening out over here, and I'm having to actually fold some of this road up and over. So I am gonna have to mix some of this rock with this rock. I'm a little worried more down here it's gonna get a little more aggressive. You can see how drastic it kind of cuts down in there as opposed to how even it is over here. It's all cut over here. So I'm really gonna have to take the shovel, I think, and fold over this part of the road into here, but it's all good. We are gonna improvise and adapt. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I am trying to even everything out. I'm taking these big rocks, digging them out of the way, and I'm trying to take the dirt and create this little dirt path first. So I'm thinking I need to take some of this material, plop it over here, and then I'll take the rest of that small pebble material and fill everything in, and we'll have a bit of a patch. Again, this is not a perfect job. It's meant to be temporary and meant for people who drive up this road, whoop, and are good to go. Okay, this is looking way better. Getting some dirt filled in over here. Now I feel confident enough to start filling up this sediment over here. I did have to borrow some actual dirt from this side because this is all just rocks, so, and I can't really dig into it. We're just gonna fill this all up, see how it goes. Hopefully we have enough material. All right, I'm gonna need some more material, but look, you can see right here, we're getting this all filled in. And so I got some more material. We gotta head back, fill it all in, try to get it all the way up here, and then we're gonna go ahead and, where's the tool at? We're gonna use this rake to even everything out. I'm actually glad this is going a little better plan than I thought. Everything is going okay. I'm just out of breath is the only issue. All right, we are all loaded up. We're using up all of our rock material. I wish we weren't, but I think we should be okay to fill up the rest of that, rake it up, fill this all in, and then of course I have to make sure everything else in between is okay, and then we will be marking our lanes. Hey there. Now this looks way better, and it's a lot safer. Let's look at it from the actual road. Coming up from the road, they'll be driving. You can even see visually. Looks good. I stamped it as much as I could, and again, this is a temporary fix. I'm aware that this won't last forever. I do need to get some bigger sediment, if you will, but this is definitely a lot better. Now all I need to do is get a marker on this side, because I got a marker on that side, and we should be good, but I still have to fill up some big holes all the way up there, so let's go ahead and figure that one out. Okay, so now that everything is filled in, again, we are gonna bring it all the way up there. And of course, got to pack everything up. Don't want to leave anything behind. You never know if the enemy is going to steal it. But again, this is actual Combat Engineer 101. You get the first layer done, and then when you have time, you always are improving your fighting position. But nonetheless, this is a dirt road, not a fighting position. I don't think we have to worry about any Geronimo and enemies. Let's go ahead and fix the road up there, though. All right, and last step, we need to fill this all in, because naturally, when people are going to be driving down this road, this wood pile should keep them a little bit this way. But this tree's over here, and people are going to want to swing out this way. And so, just like in real engineering or road application, you can use your natural resources and stuff like that as another indicator or pathway to stay on either side. So naturally, with this tree, people are going to want to swing this way. So we need to make sure this is actually good and fortified and get this all filled up. Okay, so it looks way better. I just want to rake it, pat it down, and then that should be secure enough to where if people do drive off on the side, they'll actually compact it more, come up around, and be able to leave the party. But nonetheless, other than raking that, this road is essentially done. We just have a couple of pieces and some rocks here and there that we have to throw off to the side, and then we have to mark our lanes. Now, the very last thing we're going to do is mark your lane. Now, this sounds so silly, yet I truly believe this is the most serious job in any combat application or any logistical application, is marking your lane. There have been plenty of times where US troops have veered off course or did not know where they were going and they were captured into enemy hands. Go look up what happened in the Iraq War, 2003. Nonetheless, marking your lane is so crucial in every aspect. Now the whole thing is this: sometimes you're not as fortunate to have actual lane markers and you might have to improvise, but that's why engineers will always bring what's called engineer tape, which is a white tape, or they'll bring any sort of marking systems, whether that's a chem light, because nonetheless this is an actual job that you will do as a combat engineer, is marking a lane. So anyway, this road is essentially done. All we really had to do was fortify the holes. But again, I thought this would be a fun educational opportunity, if anyone's even still watching this video, is what the real life of a combat engineer is when you're not at wartime and you're not doing like combat applications. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Sometimes the life of a combat engineer isn't always great. Like parts like this, it's fun, it's not fun. When you have a team of like 40 dudes though, it can be a fun time. But nonetheless, again, just because the word combat engineer is in the title, you're not always doing combat. A lot of it's mostly work like this, where you're reinforcing roads. And then on your off time, and sometimes you get to actually take things out and have fun as a combat engineer. But nonetheless, this is a very important application. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're still watching, please subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you guys later. Make sure to always mark your lanes.